Hello, welcome to another episode of Read With Me. I'm yours truly, Isabel Badell, and I'm here to read with you these amazing words by Lori Greiner. Y'all, this book is lit. It is on fire. I can feel the intensity of Lori, and I really like the way this is laid out because it's an easy read, and I almost feel like she's talking directly to me. Okay. So I really love how she laid it out. I love whoever edited this book. Y'all did a good job. Okay. Okay. So we're reading chapter 1, part 2. Okay. And in this particular section, we're going over the 6 essential characteristics of successful inventors. Okay. And we're going to get into the last 3 that she's going to go over. And something that I did mention in the last book, the last video, make sure to check it out. Something I did mention was I'm not looking at the word inventor as an inventor. I'm not taking it literal. I'm looking at that word as entrepreneur, coach, person, professional. Like I'm just switching that word because it's not a linear thing here. It can be applied to everyone that is intentional about their growth and is intentional about their pursuit of success, whatever that may be for you. So let's get into it because it's about to get really good. Okay. All right. So organizational skills is number 4. Okay. Organizational skills. I believe that when you've got a great idea, you should move as fast as possible to get it to market. I often say that I don't let the grass grow under my feet. Neither should you. When you've got a terrific idea and you can't wait to get it off the ground, it's to your advantage to try to get as many balls in motion as possible. However, be careful. Sometimes people compose a grand business plan, complete with financial projections when they haven't even yet calculated how much it's going to cost them to make their product. So, how can their financial plan be viable? It's important to see the big picture, of course, but your ability to appreciate the details and recognize square one essentials. For the record, square one is always this: accurately identifying and describing your product, followed up by figuring out how you're going to make it and what's the cost associated around this. Okay. Ooh, this is so freaking good. This is so freaking good. And I almost look at this as like we speak to many coaches that have gotten certified from coaching academies, ICF. And there's another one I'm kind of blanking. I don't know why, but anyways, and they have this whole scheme of like, if I just get 25 clients this month, I will be able to get to my goal. Okay, well, work backwards. What are you doing to get 25 clients? Do you really want to work with 25 clients a month? And then the next month you need another 25 clients. And the next month you want to work with 25 clients again and again and again and continue to fill that bucket up? Well, what if you tried a different approach? What if there was other avenues that can help you leverage your time, your expertise, and help you become a better coach? Would you be open to that? And that's where it just completely changes, you know? So having the ability to wiggle around it and not be so rigid in the way that you're approaching this is so important. And we've met many people that all have this like brilliant idea. They literally have it laid out into like this Excel spreadsheet and it looks amazing. But then if you ask them if they actually got into the market, like what were your sales, or, you know, how much are you bringing in per month, or, you know, what does this look like? They have no way to answer that. Okay. So it's just like, I really love what she broke down. For the record, square one is always this: accurately identifying and describing your product. What do you do? How can you be of benefit to that person? Why is it that you're able to be the best in this particular thing? Followed up with by figuring out how you're going to make it. Okay. I help blank do this, this, and that by blank, and then the cost. Right? It's like a very short to the point elevator pitch, but it's so important. These are the basics. Everything that happens next, from the research you undertake to the connections you try to make, will stem from your answers to those initial questions. And for every hoop you jump through on your way to achieving success, 3 more hoops will materialize. There's always one more form to fill out, one more phone call to make, one more person to track down. So you'll need to have discipline and an organized system to keep on task. Come on. I friggin' love that, because it's so true. You know, anyone that has been in business understands that there's always one more thing to do, one more thing to happen. Many of today's inventors probably rely on any number of apps for that. My system, however, has always been and remains quite low tech. I keep lists on my phone and computer, but my team teases me about the number of yellow notepads that I have. I love notepads. I love writing things down with an inky pen and seeing the scope of my to-dos all in front of me at one time so I can prioritize. I have a lot of balls in the air at one time, and the list changes frequently. I'll write 5 columns on the front page listing on all my Shark Tank ventures, my QVC businesses, contracts, agreements, and negotiations, new product development, outside retailers, video shoots, social media, and more. I try to check things off as I go through them, but it's always a work in progress. Then I rewrite my list to narrow them down. And of course, they instantly get just as crowded again. I usually have about 4 notepads going at any one time. And then when I travel, I condense them down to 2. It sounds crazy to schlep all that weight in this day to sleek phones and water thin computers when tablets, but nothing beats the satisfaction of writing on a lined piece of paper with a black pen and then crossing the words out. Girl, I know what you mean. That quirk probably helps explain why I'm drawn to inventing tactical products and not techie ones. Wow, that's a big one. That's a good one. That's a good one. It's hard for entrepreneurs to delegate, but over time I've learned how. And yet my to-do list remains as long as ever because I stay so closely involved with each of my products, projects, and ventures. I can ask people to communicate with our factories and trust others to arrange for samples to be shipped on time or transmit orders, but only I can confirm that a product's design and creation are true to my vision. One last thing should be said about being organized and making plans. Of course, you need to make them, but a smart entrepreneur also knows when to go off script. It's common for people to believe that before they embark on a big project, they need to have a fully outlined master plan. I've never worked that way. I don't think it's wise. How can you make a plan when you don't even know where to begin? Only by figuring out each step you need to take can you see the shape of your plan. I'm gonna highlight that one, okay? Because it literally was exactly what I was talking about. Each discovery leads to the next one, so your plans will always need to adapt. Figure out what you're going to do next, and then use your organizational skills to get to that next step. Allow yourself room to be spontaneous, to change your mind or adjust your expectations. Structure and discipline are important, but don't ever let your plan become a cage that bars you from reacting quickly, taking advantage of opportunities, or adapting to new realities. Be willing to change tactics midstream if that's what it takes to solve a problem and get you to your end game. Yeah, midstream. That's important because okay, what if you are a perfectionist? What if you have this intense perfectionism that you need to get things done a certain way, and if it's not a certain place, it's like it won't get done. You have to be able to like pivot. Most of the times your plan is probably not as pristine, because everything happens every single day. We're evolving it. The evolution of things evolve. So having the ability to, wiggle, zig and zag, how she was talking about, is so, so important, but keep it organized. Though many of my products are intended to help people's lives easier or better, and several of them have been organizers, I'm not freakishly organized. I do believe, however, that chaos, clutter, and disorganization make you crabby and your day harder. I know it did for my mom. The home where I grew up was neat and orderly, except for my mother's bedroom. She worked, she was busy, and she was always running late. I have strong memories of watching her scramble around, hunting frantically for some misplaced earring, lipstick, or shoe. I was very, very close to my mother growing up. She'd spend 30 minutes searching for something like her lipstick, my lipstick. Where's my red lipstick? And I'd walk in and immediately pick it up from her nightstand. You mean this one? We'd crack up. It happened all the time. Who knows? Maybe watching my mom taught me that life goes just a little more smoothly when things are put away where they belong. And that means having a place to put them. When I started inventing products, I tried to think of things that people needed and wanted. There are so many things in life that we cannot control, but our stuff doesn't have to be one of them. I design a lot of organizers because it makes people's lives easier, including my own. My mom owned every single one of them. In fact, she owned every single thing that I made and watched every show I ever was on, calling me to share her thoughts after every single one. Of course, she loved everything. She was my mom. My mom's nemesis was her cluttered bedroom. Mine is my office. It's a nightmare, and I have yet to invent and find any tool to help me tame it. Like a lot of people, as soon as I put papers away, I forget about them. So I have to leave them scattered all over my desk. It's chaos. When you're a busy person, and who isn't, stuff just winds up everywhere. One of these days, I hope I'll come up with a solution for the office, or I hope you will. Wow, what a breath of fresh air. I love that. All right, let's get into number 5, self-sufficiency and independence. You'd think that it would go without saying that an inventor needs to be self-sufficient, but based on the questions people ask me, it does need to be said. I think some people believe that because they have an independent streak, they are naturally self-sufficient too. But that's not always the case. I've lost count of the number of entrepreneurs who've asked me for information. And after I've given them some guidelines on about how to research their question, have come back at me with, couldn't you just tell me what to do? I don't think these people stand a chance. You may want to be your own boss, but if you don't have the wherewithal to figure it out on your own, you won't make it. Wow. This is so like on a whole like different spectrum here, because we're looking to hire like amazing talent, right? And it's like you can hire people that take orders. Like it's very easy to do so. It's very cheap to do so too. But this line right here, couldn't you just tell me what to do? It makes me reflect on like, it's so much grind on you. And it's so, so refreshing when you do hire someone that freaking thinks that has the ability to do exactly what you wanted to do and has the wherewithal to think ahead, to be proactive and do the thing. without you having to say it. It's so freaking awesome. So we're in the process of, recruiting new people and just getting new talent into our space, because we're getting into a whole new realm within our companies that we just want talent that is awesome, and when people are awesome, I think that's one of the main characteristics that they have within. Like, I'm able to do it because I know how to do it, and I'm going to research it, and I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to do it because I believe in it, and I'm in it for I love those people. Okay. All right, let's get into it. Enough with my little rant there. One of the hardest things about being an entrepreneur is that there's no one around you to tell you what to do, and no one to make sure that you do it. That's what I love about it. But for others, I often wonder, how will they cope? I'm sure they understand rationally what it means to be self-employed, but many will find it surprisingly hard to stick to a self-imposed regimen. You've got to be the kind of person who doesn't need direction and enjoys figuring things out for yourself. My husband always jokes that I can never do anything like everyone else. They will be driving in one lane and I'm always off creating my own. Being an independent doesn't mean, of course, that you shouldn't turn to others for expertise or guidance. It's a wise person who knows how and when to do that. But you must have the initiative to take whatever you learn and run with it. Ultimately, it will make you a stronger, more competitive business person to try to figure things out on your own. Your mistakes will be all yours, but so will be your triumphs. Freaking love that. All right, number 6, charisma and showmanship. The 3 years you spent holed up alone in your garage tinkering with your product may have been the happiest days of your life, but they will be wasted, and your invention will never see the light of day if you're afraid to talk to strangers about it. People drawn to entrepreneurialism are typically outgoing and unafraid of making public speeches, but I've often heard protests along the lines of, "I'm a scientist, engineer, accountant, not a salesperson." It's fine to live a life of the mind while building your invention. But if you ever want to sell it, you'll need to embrace the limelight too. Shyness will sink you in the business. That's the word, shyness, right there. And we've all been shy. I mean, I've been shy, I know everyone watching this has been shy at one point in their life, but what she mentions right here, shyness will sink you in this business. Yeah, it will. So let's find out how to get out of it. We've discussed the importance of passion, and here too, it plays a role. A large part of successful selling is demonstrating tremendous passion for your product or idea, because enthusiasm and excitement is infectious. But in general, the best salespeople do genuinely like people. The best salespeople do genuinely like people. They like getting to know others and developing rapport. And most of all, they know how to listen so they can learn what people want or need. Developing charm, yes, it can be learned. Being sensitive to others and feeling at ease around strangers could be a challenge if you're naturally shy, but it's critical that you are able to draw people in and read them well, even if you've only got a second with them, so that you can tailor your pitch accordingly. There's also a bit of showmanship required for great selling. So if you suffer from stage fright, now is the time to start working on beating it back. Acting classes, comedy classes, public speaking courses, and especially improv classes are great training grounds for introverts and others to want to sharpen their communication and presentation skills. If you've done everything you can to improve your salesmanship, but you still don't feel that you can represent your product the way it deserves, This is one of the few instances in which it would be not just acceptable, but also imperative to bring in someone else with better people skills to do your presentation and pitches for you. You'll probably hate that bit of advice. How could I suggest that you trust someone else with your baby? Someone who couldn't possibly care about it as much as you do. But I'm telling you, honey, if public speaking is really a struggle for you, you have to do it. It's the only way you're going to get anyone to pay attention. Finally, if your business is large enough, you could ask an employee to pitch it for you, or you could hire an outside sales rep or distributor. We'll talk about more of those, business arrangements and how they work and their advantages when we get to the art of the pitch in chapter 7, which I'm super, super pumped about. One last important thing, although it's not a character trait, there's one other thing a successful inventor needs, and I would remiss not to mention it here. It is money, okay? It is money. All the passion, confidence, drive, determination, charisma, and showmanship in the world will not help you if you don't have enough money to pay for the bare necessities, such as a prototype, travel expenses, so you can actually meet with buyers and show your products. So in addition, count on everything costing more than you think it will. There are many inspiring stories of people down to their last dimes whose inventions saved their families from financial ruin and went on to make millions. There are many more who spent everything they had in their inventions and were left with nothing to show for their efforts. This book is filled with advice that should help you avoid that kind of disaster, but nothing can change the fact that invention is still a risky business. Be prepared. We'll discuss where, when, and how to pursue funding options in chapter 5. And I'm going to reread this line right here so you can get it. This book is filled with advice that should help you avoid the kind of disasters, but nothing can change the fact that business is still a risky business, okay? Hello? Being your own boss, having your own business, it's always going to have a risk to it, okay? That's where the passion needs to come in, that drive, the determination, the skill sets, the willingness to go out there and get it. Shit. That's what it's all about. That's the journey. A successful inventor doesn't need, okay? So she just went over the 6 different characteristics that are needed, okay? That are just requirements, all right? And then she's going to get into a couple of things that you definitely don't need, okay? And this one's pretty short, so let's get into it. 1, you don't need a business background, okay? Many inventors are extremely entrepreneur and business savvy, the types who knew they were going to create their own business from the time they learned to tie their shoes. They start selling glow sticks to schoolmates at the age of 9 and are working on their 3rd business plan by the time they are in their early 20s. I was not really that person. In retrospect, however, I can definitely see that I had an inventor's brain, which is a lot like one of the spinning wheel fireworks. The kind that shoots flames and sparks as it rotates in a pyrotechnic whirl of color and light, the kind that once it catches fire, there's no stopping it. And you're probably nodding your head in recognition. But though my mind was constantly spinning with ideas, there's little in my background to suggest that I would become an inventor and entrepreneur. I studied television, journalism, and film. I gave up my journalistic ambitions because I thought I might like to make movies, and I also dreamed of being a Tony Award winner playwright. I handcrafted my own jewelry, and I never, ever read the business section of the paper. You really never met a less businessy type than me. If that sounds like you, take heart. A business background can be helpful to inventors or entrepreneurs, but you really don't need one. 100%. Overhead. Overhead. Okay. You do not need overhead. Oh, this is a good one. I'm amazed at how many people feel that they need to make a good impression by putting themselves up in a sharp looking suite in a cool part of town. Well, for who's going to see your office when you're the one who's going to travel for meetings? Avoid spending money unless you absolutely have to. Try to work out of your home for as long as you can. Even if you have a few employees to keep overhead low, if you need storage, you can hire. Try to work out of your home as long as you can, even if you have a few employees to keep overhead low. If you need storage, you can hire fulfillment centers that will store your product and even put labels on it before you ship it out. Or sometimes you can negotiate assembly and shipping straight from the manufacturer. Many new inventors come on Shark Tank asking for thousands of dollars because they feel they need to hire staff. More often than not, they don't. If you eventually need a specialist like a graphic designer, you can hire a freelancer who will work out of his or her space, not yours. You can answer your own phone or get an automated system. You can keep track of your own books. I wouldn't go that route. You definitely hire an accountant or at least a bookkeeper to keep your own books. That's something you should not be doing. Okay. You have to be willing to do as much as possible by yourself up until simply you have no choice but to hire someone. And even then, you will have to stay intimately involved in the day-to-day operations because even the best employee will never be as vigilant as you will. And I agree with you, Lori. I agree with you. This is where it's hard because I'm digging what you're saying, girl, and I'm like, yes, I'm all in. Okay, but there's also something that I've learned about myself, okay, that I want to be able to delegate as much as possible. And I know that my strengths come as soon as I can delegate, because I can maximize my strengths and then it produces more and then I'm able to show up even more. So, with that in mind, I'll continue reading, but just so everyone here, knows, yes, you might have to do your own books, but don't be cheap. You will make so much more money if you remain frugal, even when your invention starts to succeed and your business begins to grow. For now, for the near future, enjoy roughing it. Take pride in the fact that you're tough enough to run a business on a tight budget. There will be plenty of time later to indulge in luxuries, comforts, and labor savings purchases, and you'll appreciate them even more. I was in business for 4 years before I finally indulged in my first big celebratory purchase. It was a stainless steel Cartier watch. And I still love it till this day. Sally, a supplier in London, I had worked exceedingly hard on selling a product for QVC. In the channel chosen it. Okay, let me just read that. Okay, Sally. Okay. So she bought a stainless steel Cartier watch, which is awesome, and she loves it till this day. Sally, a supplier in London, and so her and Sally worked exceedingly hard on selling a product for QVC, and the channel had chosen it to be on today's special value, which is when they order a huge number of units and try to sell the entire amount in one day at a special low cost to the customer. Girl, we sold out. It was a huge milestone to get a TSV and sell it out in one day. Sally and I were ecstatic. The next time I was in London, Sally and I met at Harrods for lunch. And of course, we found ourselves in a massive jewelry hall looking at gorgeous watches. Spontaneously, we decided we should buy ourselves something to remember this important occasion. Always. We both bought far more expensive watches than we ever had before. Whenever I look at that watch, I remember that momentous occasion. It is one of both of our fondest memories. Oh, I love that. I love that she actually invests into pieces, like timeless pieces. I love watches, so I love that she did that. Another thing that you don't need, okay, and we just went over overhead. Another thing that you do not need is to be willing to accept failure. You do not need to be unwilling to accept failure. This one comes as a big surprise for many inventors, but in fact, it's the inventors who refuse to accept failure that actually fail. It's one thing to ignore skeptics. It's another to ignore when every person you talk to, including the important ones, those with experience in the field who judge products every day, consistently tell you that your idea isn't just going to work. It's not failure. However, to accept that the idea isn't working and move on to another one is smart. Know when to move on. Moving on is not the same thing as giving up. It's about refocusing your energy toward the next great thing you're going to accomplish. Besides, sometimes what looks like a failure is often an important milestone on the path to achievement. Wow. I freaking love that one. Moving on is not the same thing as giving up. It's about refocusing your energy toward the next great thing you're going to accomplish. Besides, sometimes what looks like a failure is often an important milestone on the path to achievement. Love it. And then she finishes chapter 1 with this. Remember to always have fun. If you're interested in more comprehensive analysis of what makes a great inventor, or you want to see how you compare to the entrepreneurial superstars, there are many books and diagnostics available. One of my favorites is Entrepreneurial Genius by Gene Landrum. But in the end, all you can do is try. You'll know soon enough if you're not cut out for this life. You'll just remember that it's supposed to be fun. When I finally gave in and devoted myself full time to my products, I didn't mind that I was working every night and weekend. I didn't mind all the exhausting travel. I had my husband by my side encouraging me, and whenever I went, I made sure to try to have a little fun by going to a great restaurant or seeing some sights before hopping back on the plane to Chicago. I was always designing, planning, plotting, and making lists in my head. I found each day exciting and invigorating because I knew all my efforts were coming back to me. I'm going to read that line again for everybody that's hustling every single day and showing up every day and keeping it real, keeping it 100. Lori said, I found each day exciting and invigorating because I knew all my efforts were coming back to me. And if you have that in mind, it always comes back. On the flip side, I was too naive. Spoke too soon there. I was too naive to know that it was going to be such a long road ahead. What I'd have to tackle and what comes with starting a business and maintaining it. If it's anxiety instead of excitement keeping you up at night, you'll want to reconsider your decision to take this path. Pursuing a dream is admirable, but to do it at the expense of your health, family, or financial well-being, and even your sanity, it's not good. Life is just too short to spend it doing nothing or doing something that you just don't enjoy. If you embody all the characteristics in this chapter, and you can't imagine anything more fun than spending every waking minute tending to your invention, your vision, your purpose, your cause, your product, your service, your business, keep at it. Set your goal and attain them. Don't let fear or failure or hardships get in your way. There's always going to be something that doesn't go right. Glitches happen. That's the nature of business. It's how you deal with them that will make the biggest difference. Fear stems from the unknown. But if you know that whatever problem occurs, you're prepared to fix it, what's there to be afraid of? If you're vigilant, then you're going to spot glitches or problems as they come down the pike before they become unsurmountable. Always do the right thing. And if you're committed to doing that, you have no reason to fear. You've got an amazing idea for a product that is going to take the world by storm, and you can't wait to get it into so many hands as possible. You're bursting with creative energy. You know deep in your bones that you've got the fire, the tenacity, and the temperament to successfully fulfill your ambition. So go for it. There's never been a better time to turn your big idea into a big success. So keep this in mind. 1, anyone can have the next big idea, not just anyone can bring it to fruition. 2, you must be independent, organized, and be willing to take the risks. 3, you will have a better chance at success when you approach challenges from a positive angle. 4, your worst enemy is self-doubt. Never underestimate or undervalue yourself. Keep a clear view of your strengths and your weaknesses. And the last one, keep this in mind. Entrepreneurialism is supposed to be fun. Bam! So make sure to hit the like, make sure to hit the subscribe, make sure to share this with a friend, family member, or, save it for later. Because you got to reread this. You got to re-listen to this. I absolutely love this chapter. And she came in hot with this one. So I'm really excited to get into the next chapter and the next chapter and the next chapter, because I can tell this book is filled with golden nuggets. And I honestly feel like she's talking, like she's not like this robotic. It's not a robotic type of book. She has her little moments in there, and it's kind of like some of the things that are written have like her own style of writing it. So that's pretty interesting, but the little like the little jabs that she throws in there is like really, really good, because like it pumps you up, especially if you're like in the day-to-day grind of the business that you're in, if you're picking up calls, if you're doing sales, if you're out there prospecting, if you're pitching whatever it is that you're pitching to people. There's rejection that comes every single day, even from your family sometimes, even from your closest friends, sometimes even from yourself. It depends, if you have that negative self-talk right now, like, let's fix it up right quick. Be kinder to yourself. Allow yourself to receive the gift of kindness. And that way you can go back into this like amazing opportunity that is in the fingertips. Okay. And have some fun with it. So I'll see you in the next video. I am yours truly, Isabel Badell. I'm one of the founders here at Billionaire, and I'm so excited to be reading with you. Talk to you soon.